Okay, ich spreche nur ein bisschen Deutsch. Ich habe in Schule Deutsch gelernt, aber ich habe vieles vergessen. So we're going to speak in English. But I just wanted to check, how many of you here, oh no, we have a translator. We have Peter here who will be translating.
Paul and Peter.
Paul and Peter. We're a team, with the team here. And we have Huang and Chuang, who are our special guests from Taiwan. And we're going to discuss over this next hour the history of Taiwanese comics, but particularly the explosion of new artists and new forms of comics in the 80s and 90s, which is really when comics in Taiwan enjoyed their golden age in many ways. Okay.
Ist es für einige von Ihnen hilfreich, wenn Sie eine kurze deutsche Zusammenfassung von dem, was Paul erzählt bekommt, oder ist es nicht nötig? Okay.
Okay. Sure.
Wish you a ancient reader.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Good. So we have the usual screen. Yeah, we're going to be looking, as I say, at this very special period. And to briefly introduce Aho and Sean to you. Aho Huang works for Dala Publishing Company, who are part of the Locus Publishing Group. And Dala specialize in graphic novels and comics of a very high standard by Taiwanese artists. And I've known Aho for several years now because Taiwan always has an amazing stand at the Angoulême Comics Festival in France, the biggest festival outside Asia, presenting new authors every year, and the standard is very high. These are some of the best artists, I think, on the planet. And we're very lucky that in Germany, in German language we should say, a Swiss publisher, Chinabooks.ch, the amazing Elizabeth Wolf, who is a dynamo of a publisher. She is translating Taiwanese comics for you into German. So you have no excuse not to read them. They are beautiful comics and they're in German. They're not in English yet, not in French yet. Some of them aren't even in French yet. So we're very lucky to have these books available. So let's look first of all at this. Are we showing the little short film first? I'll mention Sean. Sean Chuang I should introduce you to. Sean, whose book is out, Meine 80er Jahre, my 80s years. Sean Chuang has come from the world of making animated film advertising. And his first book was about those experiences, but when he did his own autobiographical story of his experience in the 80s, it became a big seller in Taiwan and has been published in other languages. And it really gives you a very personal insight into what it was like to grow up with this new freedom that young Taiwanese people enjoyed. Everything from Bruce Lee, as you can see on the poster, to Japanese animation and toys. It was a whole wonderful new period of openness that the Taiwanese had not really experienced for a long time. So Sean will join us discussing that.
And some words about you, please.
Oh yeah, and by the way, Peter's the translator. And I'm Paul Gravett, and I've written several books about comics. This is the most recent one I've done on a big scale, which is called Manhua. It's not published in German, published in English, French, Italian, and Korean, if that helps. And this has also become an exhibition. It's the biggest exhibition of comics from across Asia, so from Japan, but also from Taiwan, and in fact around 20 other countries. It opened in Rome, it went to Milan, it's been in Nantes last year. This year it was going to go to mainland China, to Shenzhen, but we've had severe censorship problems, which unfortunately means we aren't able to take the show there, which is a big disappointment. But it will go next to Bangkok in Thailand. And the show is touring for 5 years and does feature several major Taiwanese artists, including, of course, Sean Chuang here as well. And Aho was a great help making that exhibition and book happen. So we're going back in time, and we're seeing where Taiwanese comics really flourished.
Thank you for coming. We are talking about Taiwan in 80. Why we talk about Taiwan in 80? Usually, no people care about the Taiwan, and especially in 80. But for this artist, for this artist, he do
Maybe you turn this one.
He decreed. Yeah.
Yeah.
For sure.
No.
Yeah. For sure. He created a comic story about what happened in Taiwan 80. So it's called 80 Diary in Taiwan. It's published in German. And so at that time, I think it's about the same situation in Germany and Taiwan. Taiwan is in martial law at that time. So we don't, during maybe 20 years, we don't have comic because all the comic need to do the censorship. So all the characters who can fly, that's impossible to do that. For the dog who can speak, that's also internet. That's impossible to do that.
That's quite a severe restriction on the subjects you can do in comics if you can't have talking dogs or flying characters. It's not true, not realistic.
Only Superman, he can fly. Only Snoopy, he can speak.
Right.
But not the artist can do that. Yeah. But in 1983, something changed. The one artist, he started to do on the newspaper.
Newspapers is where it began.
Yeah. So all the newspapers began. Then we have a dog. Then we have the full character like humor cartoon. Then the story started with this young artist. So it became quite popular. So every newspaper want the comic artist. Every magazine, they want a new one to attract the attention. Mm-hmm. So it's begin like that. So we have quick. Then you know what happened in Taiwan. Then we can let people know. And we can ask what we are already doing. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So this is Chinatown and artist. Let's call Huang. And
so this is a talking dog, I think.
Yeah, this is a talking dog. Okay. So finally we can have a character, we can talk.
You put that's the one we're seeing, so you put that one up.
Yes. And this one, now is this one.
Okay.
And this one is, actually is in 1983, the January 1st. So the story began, that's almost when I was still in the university. But it's so popular, so everybody all the family have to read the newspaper and decide, okay, I can go to the office and I can go to the university. So the people doing that at that time, so the artists come. So after that, the second wave began. So there's a magazine coming out. Before that, all the comic in Taiwan is Japanese comic, only manga. We got only manga, but start from 80. We have our artists started. So there's a magazine. So there are the three magazines we will talk about, and why we talk about is because in the third magazine, the Chuang already in the magazine.
Already started. Yeah.
Already started.
I see. Yeah. What year are these magazines? When did they begin? They all began around the early 80s?
Yeah, the first one began in 1986. Yes, 1986. Okay, so it's a bi-weekly magazine. And so there's an artist for frame, and also there's an artist called Mr. Cai Chizhong. He translates all the classical, like Chuang, like Lao Tzu into the comic. So this is also popular this became quite a favorite for parents. Don't just read a comic, read this kind of class comic.
So that was the educational approach, wasn't it? Of course, making them accessible. And I know this artist's work has been very successful internationally, has it?
Published in Spanish in many editions.
Very successful.
And the third, and also the Chen Uen.
Right.
Chen Uen is already published also in German. And this artist bring the ancient history, like assassin.
Right. And he's published by Chinabooks in Germany. Yeah, in Germany. We have such a talk about Chen Uen later on in the festival.
Yeah, I think it's tomorrow.
Tomorrow. Yeah, it's tomorrow.
And this Chen Uen and
And so Sunday, that's a weekly, not a bi-weekly.
Yeah, that's a Sunday is a weekly magazine.
These were in the same format as a Japanese manga, like
there's already also Japanese manga style,
but black and white.
Black and white, but all the artist is Taiwanese.
Yes.
So Chen Uen is involved in this magazine, and after that, Chen Uen was invited to Japan.
Was this the first?
Chen Uen?
No, the first specialized. Is this the first comic magazine? Because you mentioned the comics in the newspapers, but now it's a comic magazine.
Yeah.
Is it the first one?
No. I have to say, this is the second way. Because in the 50 and 60, before the censorship, the Taiwan already had the popular comic magazine. But after that,
it was in 67 you had the censorship.
Yeah, after that we have censorship, it started again after like 85 and 86, then
it became
all the
free,
creating back to the stage. And
So if you have any questions,
please put your hand up if you want to know something.
Please go ahead.
What would you say would be the main difference in style? Where would Chinese or Taiwan comics different style from, let's say, Japanese
from manga
or other comics?
Yeah, what makes them specifically Taiwanese?
他的问题你懂了吗？风格上，在特点上，中国和台湾的漫画与日本漫画 manga 和西方的漫画有区别吗？
I think later I will let Sean to 我们要不要换位置？跟他讲你要讲的事情。I will ask the question first, and I think Sean will add his opinion. I think everyone knows the style of manga. So I think we are common fans here. So I think everyone will translate what manga style is. But the China style is usually there's more the tradition from the Chinese drawing. So actually, in the 80s, there's no manga style in China. The China is always like the illustration style and very short one. The books like that. It's for the book for kids. So that's the style. But in Taiwan, we mix it together. So all with a little bit political situation, Taiwan, the Kuomintang is defeated by the communists. So the Kuomintang going to Taiwan after World War II is 49. Then so he brings a lot of the influence from China. And before that, Taiwan is also the colonial occupation from Japan. So Taiwan became two field influence.
We have the mixture of Japan and China.
So that's
风格上，他主要问风格有什么区别？
Yes, the China style and the Japanese style in Taiwan. For example, I would say China first and show you.
你可以先放80年代的一个片子给他看，以后问他有没有什么理解，有什么不同的，因为笼统的说很难。I think it's not so easy to give a general answer, but what we can do is we can give you a short movie explaining the art of Chuang. And then you see, and then we can discuss this question again. Maybe by a concrete example, it's easier to communicate, okay?
We're going to show the phone?
我可以先，
你先说。
就是对大陆的漫画我比较不了解，因为我们比较没有机会去看到。
So I'm very sorry, I'm not very familiar to the comic art of the mainland China.
但是因为台湾，尤其是在80-90年代之前，那个前后，我们比较能够接触到的是日本漫画。
So in Taiwan, we were highly influenced at the end of the 80s by Japanese manga.
可能因为地理位置比较近，然后文化上面有一些类似的地方。
Cultural, historical, geographical reasons.
那所以其实在台湾的漫画创作者，大部分都会受到日本漫画的一些影响。
So you can say that usually all artists, comic artists at the end of the 80s and the beginning of the 90s were influenced by manga.
打个比方说，我们学西洋绘画的，很难不受到西洋美术史的影响。
So if we, for instance, have students in Taiwan learning oil painting, of course they go to Europe, back to European tradition. And for comic artists to start a new wave of golden age, we want to explain to you, of course we go first to Japanese.
但是在90年代之后，比较大的变化就是台湾开始长出各式各样的风格，开始在脱离这样子的日式漫画的模式。
But what happened in the 90s was that starting with Japanese manga, a new diversity of different styles in Taiwan, also in terms of comics, appeared.
那说起来，在台湾创作，比较没有负担的部分，就是因为像日本都会是一个工作室，然后他们可能整体的计划必须让漫画家不断的赶稿子。
So the situation for the working situation in Japan and in Taiwan was different. In Japan, everything was by the society highly controlled, and they have to work from the morning to the very evening, working, producing permanently new manga. And in Taiwan, a new cartoon artists or artists, they felt free to develop their own style in a very leisurely situation.
就是台湾可能同时存在类似像日本漫画的做法，但是也存在就是比较个人风格比较强烈的作者。
So you have in Taiwan two types of artists. One working for the market and for the company. And then you have also the freelancer kind of comic artists, and they just do what they like for themselves.
然后相对在题材的选择上面，台湾的自由度会更高。
And to my opinion, the liberal atmosphere in Taiwan is even higher. The social liberty is you can do freely what you like, maybe even more than in Japan. So these free artists, they worked just the way they wanted, without any restrictions.
对，所以说起来，台湾的艺术家比较辛苦。
So it was a hard life for the Taiwanese artists. Maybe let me ask him a question now, and what he thinks about his art. Is there a difference of his comic art and Japanese comic art? So he can personally answer for himself. Okay? 你个人受到日本漫画，还是你对日本漫画在你的创作中扮什么角色？重要不重要？
我个人其实什么漫画都看。
I love comics, and I love comics from all over the world, all different kinds of styles, not only Japanese ones.
对，那日本当然我也看，我有很
But
多
of
喜
course,
欢的。
manga are important and interesting for me as well. 对你的风格来说，影响大不大？
对我的风格来说影响不大。
But for me personally, in terms of style, pictorial style,
因为
not a high influence.
因为当我小时候，我只看到日本漫画的时候，那有一段时间，我认为我不适合画漫画。
Very interesting, I think. When I was a child, I loved comics, and the comics I met were from Japan. And when I saw these Japanese comics, I thought, this is not the thing, this is not my comic style. So I felt a distance to comic world in terms of Japanese ones.
就是我小时候认为我不适合画漫画的原因，是因为我没有耐性用尺去画画。
用尺就是
那个，
就是一条画一条。
对，其实你可以说德文啊。你可以说德文。
Ich kann auch auf Deutsch reden. Do you prefer me to speak English or German? English, okay. Thanks. So, actually, when I encountered the Japanese comics, I thought I am not capable to do comic like this. The way the technical approach was different because I never used rulers for painting, and I thought this perfection is not my style. So this is the reason why me as a young person loving comic did not make the decision to become a comic artist because of Japanese manga was not a thing I thought I could ever manage to do. That's interesting, right? Okay, so I think it's really interesting if you ask questions, then we get into
a conversation.
So
do we have any other questions?
Oh, wonderful!
From Severin, maybe?
Okay. You mentioned...
To whom do you want to ask the question?
You mentioned that in 1967 there was this censorship going on.
Yeah.
Or did it start there, went there, and how did it materialize?
Yeah, so what was the start of the censorship in 67? Why did it start?
60年代就是呢，这个监督和控制是具体是怎么来的，而且是怎么表现的。
Then first we talk about the first golden age. Okay, so it's in the 50s and 60s because at that time Taiwan comic is quite popular, and some story is based on the, how do you say that? 武侠小说. It's like martial arts stories. So that's based on this kind of story, and this kind of story is always like the young kids. They go to the mountain, they learn how to fight, they learn how to survive, and they learn the good skill to defend themselves, and they became the hero. They do justice. So it's kind of Taiwan hero story, and so because the story so popular, so at the one time, a lot of kids go to the mountain without informing the parents. So then it's a reason. Okay, the government say this not.
So we have to stop influence.
We have to stop the children. This is one main reason. And later there's something. Comics always a lot of fantasy, a lot of freestyle, and at that time the Taiwan government, they don't want so many inspiration, they don't want so many
talking dogs
style. They want to everything become control. They want to fight to the China government, fight to the China communists. They want to go back to at that time. But that's in our age. How we grew up. We're going to fight back to earn the mainland China into the government, into the Kuomintang. That's how we grew up, like that. So I think that's the reason.
So were there propaganda comics made? There were special comics to inspire you to reclaim
Actually, there's a lot of propaganda comics. But at that time, only the propaganda comics survived in the...
Exactly.
Yeah, that's
available. Right.
Yeah.
Yes, questions over here. Yes, go ahead, please.
Actually, it's like a two-part question.
Sure.
Is there a tendency in Taiwan or in mainland China to address social ills with comics? And for regards to Taiwan, is there perhaps a movement to use comics in order to invoke a separate Taiwanese identity?
Interesting questions.
Actually, I didn't catch really the point of your question. The first part was Is there
In
a
mainland
special...
China, you asked about, didn't you?
Let us talk about Taiwan.
Taiwan.
Let's talk about Taiwan.
Yeah.
The skill.
First, it is used to address social ills,
Social
like
problems.
Social problems,
Yes.
okay. 在台湾那个漫画与社会问题是不是也是有一定的关系？因为你刚才说就是有控制的，不给你自由表达你想什么，是不是跟社会问题有关系 ？So let's maybe first.
This is the first question.
Yeah， 你先回答这个问题啊。
你有什么要特别的？
那个时候我还是小朋友，我怎么回答这个
So
问题？
he will ask because Xiao Zhuang, he was too young at that time.
Do you mean then or generally?
In general.
In general, not just at the time.
不一定是当时，现在也是的。
It's a broad question. I'm sorry.
Oh, that's fine.
Then I talk a little bit about the history of between Taiwan and, well, of course we're talking about comic. And the Taiwan government actually, they don't like comic at all. One of the reasons they feel they were defeated by the comic artists is one of the comic very popular at that time. It's called the San Mao Liu Lang Ji, the young kid.
San Mao.
Yeah, San Mao. Yeah, three hair.
Yeah.
There's a comic, very popular.
It's kind of like a Chinese Tintin.
Yeah, but Chinese Tintin at that time. So he talking about how the society is so unfair and the government is so, how do you say, ruling, so they do nothing, so corruption. So the people intend to say, okay, the government is not good enough, so we need to change it. So after they defeated, the Kuomintang go to Taiwan and they say, we better control the comic, not to let the situation.
This San Mao, this is also popular in mainland China, and it's where was it created? Is it Taiwanese?
In China.
So this,
Not Taiwanese.
So you have the San Mao story. The
San Mao.
San Mao, which means three hairs. It's a children's cartoon or comic, and it was highly considered as a critic of the politician. So you can be, if you are very sensitive, then you can consider it as dangerous for the government. Actually, it was not meant to criticize government, right? But in the 60s, the situation in Taiwan, I guess, was highly sensitive. So this is the reason why even so childish comics like San Mao were interpreted, were considered as a thing to criticize the government, so it's dangerous. So that was the time, the atmosphere in the time. Okay. 现在呢，社会问题。
Now the comics is more after such a long time, comic as a propaganda weapon. But so after 80, the people will like, for the artists, they would like to present their own story. They don't want to do so many things with the propaganda things, and we are enough about the propaganda thing. So after that, the comic is more like easier than to do. The artists can do their own presentation.
我认为他80年代社会问题是有的，我们可以放那个小段就给他看了，但是不是矛盾。
放不出来。
哦，放得出来。So, okay.
技术问题。
He is the writer of My 80s. So, of course, there's how he grew up. It's a kind of history book by comic, and of course it reflects social relationships. Maybe not problems, but social situations which are highly interesting.
Social reality.
Social reality, exactly. So, what was your second question again? Sorry?
The question is if there is a movement or a tendency in Taiwanese comics to build up a separate Taiwanese identity, like we're not China, we're Taiwan.
In comic.
Yes.
中国就是台湾的漫画有没有一个潮流或者一个趋势，想把自己定位做的台湾跟其他地方都不一样，就是具有保护台湾特点的或者重视台湾的，只有台湾人能理解或者呢就是注重台湾传统和文化这么一个漫画趋势。
Actually, it's welcome. I think it's on our Friday or Saturday panel. We're going to talk about this. What happened in Taiwan now? And just a little bit, yes, there are the things. The comics want to do the things. Before that, our education is more the China or Chinese. But after the new century, the China history or China geography is slowly moved on the textbook. So right now we're more focused on the Taiwan. And also, the comic is also the situation. We're talking about what happened in Taiwan. At the next panel, then there's a new comic creator. They are doing all the Taiwan style, all the Taiwan story. Yeah, I think.
And the Taiwanese language, right?
Yeah, and a lot of them
The dialect.
Taiwan dialect
Plays a very important role. Very important.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Good.
Other questions, please.
Yes, go ahead.
Maybe fits very well to this question about the cultural area which has an influence. I remember that the southern islands of Japan, called Okinawa, there used to be one cultural area called the Ryukyu Kingdom. Going back maybe 100 years, and there used to be an own language of its own. People spoke there, and I've traveled there, and there's a huge difference between mainland Japan and the Okinawa Islands. They have different music, different dances, probably also different kind of paintings, or also maybe different kind of comics. And I wonder if, going back 100 years or very, very far back in history, if Taiwan used to be part of this kingdom, because it would just fit from the area, and if so, if it would have been, I'm not sure of it, but if it was part of the Ryukyu kingdom, if there is kind of something which has its influence on the work today, on creating an old Japanese, Taiwanese identity from China.
So what was the name of the kingdom?
Ryukyu Kingdom.
Ryukyu was the Ryukyu Island in south of Japan.
Yes.
OK， 他认为呢，日本南部有 Ryukyu 岛群岛，他们那边有一个王国，有他们的文化，他们的文化与台湾，以前就是100多年前有没有什么同样文化背景的？如果有的话，这个不是日本，是 Ryukyu 王国文化影响到现在为止，在台湾有没有扮什么角色？我觉得没有。
Actually, it's not so
tight.
Because this is Japan, this is Okinawa, and this is Taiwan. And Taiwan, when we talk about the history, we will talk about, when we talk as a Chinese, we will talk, okay, we have 1,000 years, 2,500 years history. And when we talk about the Taiwanese, we say it's 400 years. 400 years, that means 400 years ago, there's some troop from China moved to Taiwan. So the story. So at this moment, we are talking about the Taiwan history. Basically, talking about that at that time. It's 400 years, 1662. It's first time the China troop, China Navy defeated the Dutch. The Dutch Navy, so the story began at that time.
Right, with Formosa.
Formosa.
So there's a tight relation between Taiwan and mainland China, and not so much to Ryukyu Island. Actually, there was a very important time of Japanese influence when, after the First World War, Taiwan was part of Japan.
Oh, yes.
There were many Japanese living, and the Japanese were influencing highly the life, the daily life in Taiwan, in Taiwan, but not the Ryukyu kingdom. Okay, some more questions,
Any more
please.
questions from the audience? Otherwise, I thought I just might bring in sorry, I was going to think about this. Yeah, the indigenous people living in Taiwan as well have their own languages, of course, as well, and cultures. Are they also part of this? When did they start to get involved in making comics? When was there, or being the subject of comics, dealing with indigenous stories? I'm thinking particularly of Sidik Bale, the story about the indigenous uprising against the Japanese that was made into the enormous film. Sidik Bale. Could you talk about that? Because that's become a topic, hasn't it, of recent Taiwanese comics to deal with the indigenous population and indigenous history.
漫画引入什么就是台湾是可以说台湾人，但是台湾人一部分人是本地的，就是山地人，他们在现在一直在生活在文化在领域在扮演的角色。
We can talk about the history, so many things. We can talk about the comic. Okay, I'll answer in the comic because we do at this moment. I think in these 20 years, a lot of artists. He's one of the started to do the graphic novel.
Yeah.
So, of course, 80 is the graphic novel. We also have some artists that are doing the kind of graphic novel, talk about what happened in
the past, in society.
In the society, to do the things like that. So, of course, Taiwan is so close to Japan. We love all the Japanese things. We love Japanese food. We love Japanese music. We love the Japanese manga. But also at that situation, we are already starting to create our style a little bit different. So our style is definitely like that.
Yeah, that's very important to do, and subject matters too.
Yeah, the subject is also, so before that, that's always, when you read manga, you know, okay, this is for the kids, this is for the young kids, this is for the young girl, this is for the adult, and this, in recent years, the young artists, they don't want to follow this kind of...
In Taiwan.
Yeah, this kind of style, they want to do their own. So they were more like maybe documentary, maybe graphic novel, maybe zine style. So there's a lot of things started the difference.
Yeah. Should we look at the other images on the presentation?
Yes, please continue.
Shall I just press this one?
Or maybe you can continue.
Continue, yeah, of course. Yeah. So we have more from Sunday Comic.
Yeah, we have Sunday here, like this artist. This artist is called Chen Uen. And we will have another panel talking about this artist. This artist is so important of two things. One thing, he brings his technical mixed together with the manga and the ink brush.
The Chinese classical
Chinese, yes, and also, and he is the artist learning the Western painting. Mm-hmm. So he mixed all the things, realism, all the things together. Mm-hmm. So he is very popular in the 90s. All the 90s, he is popular in Japan, invited by the Kodan shop. So he do working there, and his skill influence some artists, very important at Japan.
Astonishing artists, extremely important.
Did anybody of you hear earlier, before, about Chen Uen, this artist? Are you familiar to this artist? So you have here heroes of the Eastern Zhou period. Mm-hmm. And you have a drawing, you see Chen Uen, Machtkämpfe und Intrigen. So, if you're interested to know more about Taiwanese comic artist influenced by manga influencing Japanese manga artists and being influenced by Western art, by realism. When you look at the faces of these warriors, they have a realism which is not thinkable in Asia. So this is a very, very interesting artist, Chen Uen, and there will be a special lecture on him, but he is in the 19th century, in the 90s, the first and only
we can say that. We can say that.
comic artist in Taiwan, and he has been living in Taiwan. He went to Japan. He was invited by Kodansha. This is the most important publishing house. Then he was also living in the People's Republic of China, and later then he came back. And when you look at his drawings, maybe not the history itself might be so fascinating, but he is a real Taiwanese artist who, based in Taiwan, was influenced from all different styles and created a new style of manga, which is traditional Chinese, which is also Japanese to some extent, and also Western. So he's really interesting, and please keep in mind, you can see, and it's translated into German by Chinabooks.
Yeah, he's an astonishing artist, and sadly he died in 2017, much too young, and he had a major exhibition, the first really major exhibition of manhua artwork in an art museum in Taiwan.
Actually, it's in the National Palace Museum.
There we go, yeah. So very, very prestigious recognition, sadly, after he died.
So if he is now in the National Museum of Taiwan, he is part of the national identity, and he becomes, as an artist, in the same position as a painter. So he helped comic art to rise up to be accepted by the state, which is really amazing. So he is really the most important artist in the second golden age.
Good point.
Or we make a quick, just a little bit, give me 2 minutes. I finish explain a little bit about Chen Uen. We see how his drawing look like. So this is he's working at 1986. The history talking about the assassin, and this is 5 assassin in the history.
There's a development in style. So if you keep in mind now these first tries, these first examples, and keep it in mind, and you see the development, which is really remarkable.
So this is 1986. So this is 90. So 90 is more like Kung Fu style. So a lot of drawing.
Kind of Hong Kong style.
Hong Kong style. This is not Hong Kong style. Yeah. And then this, he moving to the China. So this is serialized in the morning magazine. And so this is style look like that. And then it's another story about talking about the Asia, beautiful Asia. And this, this now around 95, 96. So he's the first one to use the digital art to do that. So this is his last painting in 2012.
Quite beautiful, isn't it?
In the Overland Festival. That's Chen Uen. That's his work. So if you want to listen more, we have one panel talk about the artist, because the German edition already 4 books about his work. So welcome to listen to the panel.
And also, if you're interested, as you may know, Chinabooks has a stand here, and they've got this brand new free magazine you can pick up, which is full of information, a long interview with Jimmy Lau, who I'm talking to the hour later on this afternoon, and it's packed with details, so you can learn more about Manhua there. Do we have any other questions from the audience? Yes, go ahead, Sabri.
How many published comics artists there are in Taiwan, and is the number, what is the trend? Is the number increasing or decreasing?
Comic artists, the number. 目前出版社 publisher 现在目前台湾出版漫画的出版社大概有多少？这个趋势是怎么样的？
There's some shift number. It's quite interesting. Okay, one shift. Last century, in the end of last century, we have 50 comic magazines. 50 comic magazines. We have different kind of comic magazine. But 10 years ago, became like 3, 2, 1, 0. Okay, but in recent year, these 2 years, we have young publishers want to do the magazine. So now, right now we have 3 comic magazines. We will talk about that. And for the publishing company, there's around 10 to 20. It depends. So some of the publishing company, they publish less than 3 titles per year. But the biggest one, they publish 500 titles per year. But I think 95% of his publishing is manga. So that's the difference. And I'm in the middle. I'm the medium small publishing company. So around 12 books a year. So some of the titles we publish is original by the Taiwan artists, and some title we introduce the European comics. So we bring the Mobius, Villa, and Skyton, the Chrissy, and also there's a Louvre collection, Pablo, something. Yeah, we do some, introduce some European comic into China and into Taiwan.
Okay, I want. Yeah. Yes. Do you want to say something more? Yeah, to talk about the history. I think one of my questions for Sean, I was just wondering about what you were growing up during the 80s, and as your graphic novel talks about. And I wonder what were the comics? Was it only Japanese comics that you were inspired by, or were there any Taiwanese comics that were influential on you? What were the Taiwanese comics that influenced you?
很有想是刚才讲的，就是他们这些漫画出版的时候，我大概是高中的时候，这些人，因为他们画出来的东西跟过去的题材比较多，比较不一样，所以我就有受到他们一些启发。
So, when I was a child in my 80s, I was not at all influenced by any Taiwanese comics. But at the beginning of the 90s, there was Chen Uen, this very famous comic painter, and his style, his variety of expressing in different techniques, Western, different styles, which this was very interesting for me. So it was Chen Uen who, yeah.
Okay, and is there any other artists you'd like us to see here, for the audience to see from the 80s and 90s that we haven't talked about? We talked about Chen Uen.
Yeah.
Would you like to show any other ones here that we haven't?
Yeah, we're gonna finish in one magazine. This magazine is very important.
This was High Comic.
Yeah, this magazine is established in 1995, and I was the editor-in-chief, so this is very important. And the second important thing, Chuang
is where he started.
He started his work at this
I can see, that's his work in the middle.
Yeah, that's in the magazine.
Yeah.
And this is the first magazine bring the European comic and Japanese manga and Taiwan together. So,
and as you say, it was also more for adults.
Yeah, this more. So we bring the Mobius, the short book, and also the manhua. Yeah, that's it. So bring a lot of things, the 10 girls, and a lot of things together. So this became quite what happened 80 and 90 in Taiwan.
Yeah, yes. Sorry, I'm just going to shut the doors. So this was only 2 years, but it had an influence. It helped to launch Chuang's career, and it is an example that you could do adult comics in Taiwan. That's very important that you have that example. Yeah, excellent. So this period is really the starting point for this new golden age, and we're going to be talking on Saturday about Chen Uen. If you want to join me and Huang, he'll be giving you much more information, a lot more images, which will amaze you. We're also going to have a discussion with Chuang separately about his whole work, and I think it's tomorrow morning at 10:30. I'm talking with 61 Chi, who is a brilliant young woman artist, because I think somebody hasn't asked this question, but where are the women? As in the women creators, but women in the audience, which I'm pleased to see. But there are women now making more comics in Taiwan, and she's a very, very talented artist. Do come and meet her at 10:30 tomorrow morning. It was 10 o'clock, sorry, 10 o'clock tomorrow. No, it is 10, it is 10. Yeah, it is 10. And do you have any last questions for this panel? I think we have to wrap up for the next panel. So anyone like to ask something? Otherwise, I hope you've enjoyed it, and you will learn a lot. Oh, we have one just here. There we go. Speak up. Pardon? Yes, about Chen Uen. Okay.
This craft? Is it that you can do everything with blood?
He does do a lot, you're right, with almost like calligraphy with an ink line, doesn't he? Yeah, yes.
Very improvised.
It seems very free and spontaneous, doesn't it? Yeah. So that's your question, is that one of the key things about Chen Uen?
But on the other side, it's
Yeah. Yeah. He can go from that to extremely realistic sort of painting, essentially. Yes. It is, isn't it? Yeah. So that, do you agree? Is that one of the strengths of Chen Uen? This mixture of loose Chinese line painting and super detailed realism.
Yeah, actually, you have answered all the questions. So if you want to learn more, let's talk about Saturday. So welcome. Then with Saturday, later we can communicate privately, because I think we will give back the time to.
And maybe one more information for you. If you want to have a closer look at Chen Uen or at his Xiaozhuang's drawings, or Miss Liu Yiqi, there is an exhibition space. An exhibition space, have you been there? It is man kann dort zeichnen lernen. There's a kind of studio to learn how to draw. And over there, so there's an exhibition space, and you have one room for Xiaozhuang, you have one room for Chen Uen, and also a third room for Liu Yiqi, 61 Qi. So you can go and have a look, and the pictures are enlarged, and you have a very good opportunity to have a close look.
So thank you very much to Huang and Chuang, and to Peter, our amazing interpreter and co-presenter, and to me.
Thank you.
Thank you.